Have you ever heard of a general who was never defeated? Not once, in over 100 battles. We're talking about a military genius whose tactics are still studied in military academies today. This isn't a character from a movie or a video game. This is the story of Khalid ibn al-Walid, the Sword of God. Khalid was born in Mecca, into the powerful Quraysh tribe. From a young age, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was a skilled wrestler, an expert horseman, and a master swordsman. His early life was spent as one of the fiercest opponents of the early Muslims. In fact, at the Battle of Uhud, it was Khalid's brilliant cavalry charge that turned the tide against the Muslim forces, handing them one of their few early defeats. This single move showed the world a glimpse of the strategic mind that would soon reshape the entire Arabian Peninsula and beyond. But history has a funny way of surprising us. A few years later, Khalid ibn al-Walid had a change of heart. He traveled to Medina and converted to Islam, pledging his allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad. Imagine the shock and awe this must have caused. The man who was once their most formidable enemy was now their greatest champion. The Prophet recognized his incredible military talent and gave him the title, Saifullah, which means the Sword of God. And from that moment on, Khalid would live up to that name in every sense of the word. His first major test as a Muslim commander came at the Battle of Mu'tah. The Muslim army, numbering only 3,000, was facing a massive Byzantine force of maybe 100,000 or even 200,000 soldiers. The odds were impossible. The battle raged, and the top 3 Muslim commanders fell one by one. The army was on the brink of complete annihilation. That's when Khalid took command. What he did next was pure genius. Instead of a suicidal charge, he organized a brilliant tactical withdrawal. During the night, he had his soldiers march away and then return in small groups, kicking up dust to create the illusion that massive reinforcements were arriving. He also swapped the positions of his army's vanguard and rearguard. The next morning, when the Byzantines saw new faces and banners at the front and dust clouds in the distance, they hesitated. They thought they were being lured into a trap. This hesitation gave Khalid the opening he needed to safely retreat his army with minimal losses. He didn't just save the army. He outsmarted an empire. This was Khalid's signature style: surprise, deception, and lightning-fast speed. He was the master of the unexpected. After the Prophet's passing, many tribes in Arabia rebelled. The new Caliph, Abu Bakr, tasked Khalid with reuniting the peninsula. This led to the Rida Wars, or the Wars of Apostasy. One of the most famous campaigns was against Musaylima, a rival prophet who had amassed a huge army. The battle was fierce, and at one point, Musaylima's forces pushed the Muslims back to their own camp. But Khalid was relentless. He rallied his men, reorganized them into tribal units to foster better fighting spirit, and launched a ferocious. They cornered Musaylima and his elite guards in a walled garden, which would later be known as the Garden of Death. Khalid and his men stormed the walls, and in the brutal fighting that followed, Musaylima was slain and his rebellion was crushed. With Arabia united, the Caliph turned his attention to the 2 superpowers of the time: the Persian Sassanid Empire and the Byzantine Roman Empire. These were ancient, wealthy, and powerful empires with professional, well-equipped armies. The fledgling Islamic states seemed like a tiny David against 2 Goliaths, but they had Khalid. Sent to the Persian front in modern-day Iraq, Khalid launched a campaign that is still legendary. In less than a year, he fought and won about 15 battles against numerically superior Persian forces. He moved his army with such incredible speed that the Persians never knew where he would strike next. He used the desert as his ally, a vast ocean of sand that no Persian army dared to cross, allowing him to appear seemingly out of nowhere. One of his most brilliant victories was the Battle of Walid. Here, he faced a massive Persian army that also had Arab Christian allies. Khalid knew he was outnumbered, so he used a tactic similar to one used by the great Hannibal at Cannae: the double envelopment. He positioned his main force in the center and hid 2 cavalry units behind the hills on his flanks. As the battle began, the Persians pushed his center back, just as he planned. They thought they were winning, but as they pressed forward, Khalid gave the signal. His hidden cavalry units slammed into the Persian rear from both sides, trapping them in a deadly pin. The Persian army was completely surrounded and annihilated. It was a tactical masterpiece, but perhaps Khalid's most audacious move was yet to come. While he was conquering Iraq, The Byzantine front in Syria was in trouble. The Muslim forces there were facing a massive imperial army and were on the defensive. The Caliph sent an urgent message: "Go to Syria." The problem? The direct route was a barren, waterless desert, a 6-day journey that was considered impossible to cross with an army. Any other general would have taken the long, safe route. Not Khalid. He knew speed was everything. He gathered his elite mobile guard, filled up every water skin they had, and even made some of his camels drink excessive amounts of water to serve as living water reserves for the horses later on. Then, he plunged into the desert. It was a brutal march. They navigated by the stars, endured extreme heat, and at the point of desperation, slaughtered the water camels to quench their thirst. After 5 grueling days, they emerged from the desert right behind the Byzantine lines in Syria, stunning both friend and foe. No one believed it was possible. His arrival completely changed the momentum. He took command of the United Muslim armies and prepared to face the might of the Byzantine Empire at the decisive Battle of Yarmouk. The Byzantines had gathered an enormous army, possibly over 150,000 strong, to crush the Muslim invasion once and for all. The Muslims were outnumbered at least 3-1. The battle lasted for 6 days of intense, bloody combat. Khalid's leadership was everywhere. He rode up and down the lines, plugging gaps, leading charges, and inspiring his men. He used his elite cavalry, the mobile guard, as a fire brigade, rushing to any part of the battlefield that was about to break. On the final day, he saw his opening. As a thick sandstorm blew into the faces of the Byzantines, Khalid launched an all-out assault. His cavalry shattered the Byzantine left flank, then wheeled around to attack their center from the rear. Panic set in. The Byzantine army, once so proud and powerful, collapsed into a chaotic rout. Many were driven into a deep ravine and perished. The Battle of Yarmouk was a catastrophic defeat for the Byzantine Empire, and it sealed the fate of Syria. Khalid ibn al-Walid's military career is a highlight reel of brilliant strategies and impossible victories. He was a tactical innovator, a master of psychological warfare, and an inspirational leader who led from the front. He understood the importance of speed, mobility, and surprise better than anyone of his time. His campaigns are a testament to how superior strategy and leadership can overcome overwhelming numerical odds. Despite his unparalleled success on the battlefield, Khalid's life wasn't without its controversies and political struggles, which is a story for another time. But when he died, he didn't die in battle. He died in his bed. A fact that he lamented. He reportedly said, "I've fought in so many battles seeking martyrdom that there is no spot on my body without a scar. But here I am, dying in my bed like an old camel." His legacy, however, is immortal. He is the undefeated general, the sword of God, who laid the foundations for one of the largest empires in history through sheer military genius. His story teaches us that, with courage, brilliant strategy, and unwavering resolve, even the most daunting challenges can be overcome. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible historical figure, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of legendary heroes from history. See you next time.